It doesn't just sit on the land, it breathes with it. You can feel it before you ever see it, an energy that hums softly through the earth, pulling you closer. This isn't the cold geometry of a skyscraper, or the endless sameness of suburban streets. No, this is something far older, far truer. A place where the horizon feels wide enough to hold every dream you've been quietly carrying. Asterisk, the Modern Hacienda Barndominium. The name alone feels like a contradiction, doesn't it? How can something be both modern and rooted in a past that feels centuries old? How can a home built with steel and glass, whitewashed stucco and weathered wood feel so alive? As though it has grown from the soil itself? Asterisk, maybe it's because this home doesn't just exist to be looked at, it exists to be felt. Every curve and corner, every whisper of wind through its eaves feels intentional, almost reverent. It doesn't shout its beauty, it breathes it. It waits quietly for you to notice how the late sun pools golden against its walls, how the timber beams hold the soft scent of warmth even as the day fades. And when you finally stand before it, there's a strange sense of familiarity. Like meeting someone you've never seen before but somehow already know. Asterisk, did you know that 70% of homeowners feel their space doesn't reflect their style? Don't be part of that statistic. Subscribe and start designing a home that truly feels yours. Asterisk, there's a reason it feels this way. This is not just architecture. This is a bridge between eras, between styles, between ways of life. It takes the soul of the hacienda with its open courtyards, its rustic honesty, its invitation to gather and to linger, and marries it with the clean lines and functional openness of the modern barndominium. The result isn't a compromise, it's a harmony. A home that understands the value of quiet mornings and bold statements all at once. Asterisk, and as you take it in, as your eyes follow the soft contrast of shadow and light across its walls, you realize something. This isn't just a house on a plot of land. It's a breathing, living thing, a sanctuary. A reminder that home is not just where we sleep, but where our stories unfold. And perhaps this is where your story could begin, too. Asterisk, step closer. Can you hear it? It's that soft, deliberate crunch of gravel beneath your feet. Step drawing you further into something that feels both timeless and new. The air carries the faint scent of cedar and warm earth. The kind of fragrance that doesn't just reach your senses, it settles into your memory. Ahead, a silhouette rises, quiet and unassuming, yet undeniably commanding. Walls of soft whitewashed stucco kissed by the fading sun, and beams of dark weathered timber that stand like guardians of a story waiting to be told. Asterisk, a beautiful. Home is not a dream, it's an art, and you're the artist. Subscribe and start creating spaces that speak to the soul. Asterisk, it is neither fully hacienda nor entirely barn. Yet it wears the soul of both. The hacienda lends it warmth, the open arms of tradition, a sense of rooted belonging. The barn gives it scale, openness, and the courage to stretch toward the sky. Together, they form something unexpected, something alive, an invitation, not just to enter, but to belong. Asterisk, this is not a house built to impress from afar. It's a house that invites you closer. This doesn't demand attention with extravagance, but draws you in with whispers, the faint echo of wind weaving through its archways. The way its structure frames the horizon, as if it were part of the architecture itself. The closer you come, the more it feels like the land itself shaped this place, not with machines or blueprints, but with intention and patience. Asterisk, and as you pass through its threshold, you feel the promise it carries. These walls do not simply define rooms, they cradle moments yet to be lived. Dinners lit by the soft glow of wrought-iron chandeliers, where conversation lingers long after the plates are cleared. Mornings when sunlight floods through expansive windows, turning cool concrete floors into canvases of warmth. Afternoons where laughter carries across spaces so open and free that they seem designed not just for living, but for living fully. Asterisk, transform your home, transform your life. Subscribe now, and let's create spaces you'll love forever. Asterisk here. Time slows. The house does not press you forward, it anchors you. It reminds you that home is more than a place to sleep or store the hours between work and rest. It is where life swells, where stories unfold, where every doorway leads not only to another room, but to another moment you'll someday remember. Asterisk, and in this quiet invitation, one truth becomes clear. This isn't just a house you enter. It's a home that enters you. Asterisk, it feels old, yet it's new. There's a strange magic in that balance where the past whispers through every timber beam, every cool stretch of stone, and yet the future hums quietly in the clean lines and open spaces. Every element here was chosen not just to be seen, but to be felt. You can run your hand along the grain of the wood and feel a story etched into it, as if it remembers the forests it once called home. The black steel that frames the rooms feels purposeful, strong, but never cold, like a steady hand guiding the home forward. Asterisk, look closer. The textures speak to each other. Rough, hand-finished walls temper the sleek polish of concrete floors. Arched openings soften the geometry of glass and steel, letting light wander and pool as though it, too, is part of the design. Morning light bends through the spaces, spilling across corners, warming the kitchen as though the house itself is waking with you. Even the smallest moments, pouring a cup of coffee, watching the sun shift across the walls, feel cinematic. Asterisk, but beauty alone is not its secret. This place was crafted to live, not just to be admired. The walls breathe. The rooms don't box you in, they release you. Every space is drawn wide and open, not for excess, but for air, for light, for the sense that life here moves without friction. The kitchen, glowing at the heart of it all, feels less like a utility and more like a hearth place where everyone gathers, where meals become rituals, and where the simple act of being together feels sacred. Asterisk, and then there's what lies beyond. This house does not end where its walls meet the earth. The line between indoors and outdoors blurs. Sliding doors open to courtyards and sweeping patios, spaces where the wild edges of nature meet the comfort of shelter. It's a design for those who long for stillness, yet ache for story. For those who crave mornings of quiet coffee with nothing but the sound of wind through the grass, and nights alive with voices, music, and the flicker of firelight against stucco walls. Asterisked in every detail, this home carries a quiet truth. It was built not only to be lived in, but to help you remember what living truly feels like. Asterisk, and here's where it becomes something more. Beyond its walls, beyond its beams, beyond the perfect balance of old and new, this isn't just a home. It's a retreat, a refuge, quiet reset button for a life that's been rushing too fast. Because the truth is, houses like this aren't built for everyone. They're built for the few who still dream, even when the world tells them to settle. Asterisk, this place calls to those who see beyond bricks and beams, and to the ones who don't just look at a floor plan but feel it the way the light will shift across. The living room in the late afternoon, the way the wind carries a story when it slips beneath the eaves at night, the ones who can close their eyes and already hear what life here might sound like, the laughter spilling out across a courtyard, the soft creak of wood as the night air cools, the stillness that feels like freedom, not emptiness. Asterisk, because that's what this barndominium truly is, a canvas. It doesn't dictate how you should live, waits for you to decide, to paint it with the rituals that make life yours. Morning coffee as the sun crawls over the horizon, long unhurried dinners beneath, chandeliers that flicker like starlight, evenings when the world feels far away and the only thing that matters is the sound of fire crackling and the hum of conversation drifting into the dark. Asterisk, but there's something else, something unspoken that lingers here. A challenge, almost. It dares you to slow down, to choose a life where the horizon matters more than the clock, where every day feels less like routine and more like a story unfolding, one you get to write. It's asterisk, and maybe that's why, standing here, it doesn't feel like you're just looking at a house. You're looking at a threshold, a choice, a reminder that a home can be more than walls, more than wood and stone. It can be the place where you rediscover who you were always meant to be. Asterisk so. Maybe it's not just a barndominium. Maybe it's a beginning dressed as a building. A quiet revolution made of white stucco and timber beams. Maybe it's not about square footage or style at all. Maybe it's about coming back to something you didn't know you'd lost. Asterisk because when you stand here truly still you realize something this home doesn't ask you to fit into it. It opens gently and waits for you to grow into yourself. It reminds you of how deeply space can affect spirit. Beauty can slow the mind, and how silence can sometimes say more than. Any words? Asterisk. This isn't about trends. This isn't about the latest paint color or furniture line. This is about feeling, about finding, about choosing to build a life where stillness is not emptiness, but fullness in disguise. Asterisk. So, if your heart stirred, somewhere in these walls, even for a moment, maybe that's not an accident. Maybe that's your story reaching back, whispering that it's ready to begin again. Asterisk, if you're ready to see how dreams take shape in wood and stucco, stay with us, because what comes next might just change how you imagine home forever.